So I loved North Carolina.
Oh.
When I was a kid,
I didn't know
if
that.
I could have committed in 8th grade to North Carolina, I would have gone to North Carolina.
Wow. Welcome to Bird's Eye View. Today, I'm talking to someone who I have quite literally watched at every stage of her career. She is a 3-time WNBA champion, 2-time WNBA Most Valuable Player, 4-time NCAA National Champion, and honestly, the type of player with a list of accolades so long, it would take half the podcast for me to list them all. So let's get to it. My interview with Breanna Stewart, up next. You're in like an elite category where reading your bio in front of you is just awkward, no?
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
I actually feel that way. I feel the same way. Sometimes people they want to get it all in, and I'm like, we can just skip all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, she was really good.
Yeah, at the events, I'm like, all right, please stop.
She won a lot. She was really good, and here we are. Okay, so we are recording this on June 11th. As of today, you guys are 9-0.
Yeah.
You know this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the history of teams that have started undefeated and gotten to 9-0?
That they go to the finals?
Well, yes. Do you want to know the history?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know like Minnesota, LA, and
So I actually just talked about this last week and the week before. So Minnesota has the record at 13-0. They got to the finals, but lost.
Awkward. But
they lost to LA, who started that same season, 2016, at 11-0.
Okay.
So that's also that's number 2.
Close to the record.
Yeah, close to the record. And they won the title.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go 11-0 or 13-0, it's finals. You may or may not win.
Perfect. Love that.
10-0, Minnesota Lynx again. You get to the finals,
and you lose.
But you lose.
Dang.
But if you go 9-0, there's a team of the 4 teams that have done 9-0, and now your team 5, Minnesota's team 6. You basically have like a 75% chance of getting to the finals. There's only one team, Connecticut last year, that didn't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Dang.
Connecticut last year started 9-0 and lost in the semis. But the other 3 got to the finals. How do you feel about this?
I feel pretty good.
You feel good?
Yeah, strong start.
The numbers are with you?
Yeah, the math is mathing so far.
Okay. So what is it about this team that you guys are on this run?
I think for us, it's our depth. I think that's the biggest thing that kind of separates us even from last year to this year. And then the way that we're moving the ball and just really playing and getting into, it's funny because I just saw Emre the other day and he was like, you guys look amazing, whatever. And I was like, I feel like we're finally in that like flow state that we were in Seattle, in 2018, where it's just like ball's moving, things are clicking, you know where someone's going to be and play off that.
Yeah. Do you think that's like a product of just time? Or do you think that, because you guys had some new additions this year, do you think that roster changes allowed for that? Which do you think it is?
Definitely time, between me, Sab, JJ, but also KB, Niara, Leo.
KB, man.
KB's crushing it right now.
Kennedy Burke, for those that don't know. KB is killing it.
Yeah, she just did a record for 3 consecutive games with no 3-point missed.
I know.
And you have to shoot at least 3. So that means she made at least 9 for 9.
Yeah. A friend of mine texted me like, when did she turn into Reggie Miller? I was like, I don't know. It's really been impressive to watch her. I personally think it has to do with playing overseas.
Yeah.
It feels like she got a lot of confidence over there and really found herself. Because she always had the ability. We saw that.
Yeah.
We played with her in 2021. She always had the ability, but it's like you always wanted a little bit more, and now you're getting a little bit more.
And that's what she said last night, like playing overseas, building that confidence, like getting into the gym, and really getting her shot up. And I think it was just a difference of like she used to have this 1 second of hesitation, and now she's just like, I'm going to shoot it or drive it.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy for her.
Yeah,
yeah. You mentioned just how your team is playing, the flow of it all. You guys are passing the ball really well, finding each other. I complimented you a couple weeks ago. Oh, you got the goggles out? By the way, I checked your stats. Your assist numbers are like basically the same. I was really disappointed because I was hoping, like I said,
it seems like they're good. But
yeah, well, no, I complimented you, a couple weeks ago when you came on A Touch More Live about your playmaking, which still is true. But I was hoping, you cross your fingers like, oh, maybe she's averaging like 2 more assists or something. They're pretty much the same. But honestly, the playmaking I was talking about has nothing to do with a number.
Yeah.
It's just the way you're playing, the way you have your head up, finding your teammates. So what I do want to talk a lot about today, we're going to go back a little bit, but I do want to talk about just your evolution in that playmaking. And, you're quote unquote a post player, but you're really not. You're versatile. You're doing a whole bunch of stuff out there. Do you know what it says in your Wikipedia page about your dad, Brian?
That he made me dribble around the block?
Yeah, it's in your Wikipedia page. So I'm just going to read it really fast. Stewart began playing basketball at an early age. Due to her height, her coaches wanted her inside as a rebounder, but her father encouraged her to practice ball handling skills and a perimeter shooting ability. She started a daily routine of dribbling around the block wearing headphones for a mile. Her routine improved her ball handling to the point she routinely dribbled behind her back and between her legs. Even after heading off to college, she still did the routine at home. Can we get a fact check here? This is accurate.
College? No.
Okay.
No.
So they can take that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was like 18, I pretty much stopped that.
Okay. What were you listening to in your headphones? This is pre-podcast days.
Yeah, there was no podcast. Like I had the iPod with the wire tucked into my sports bra, I don't know. Probably like Rihanna.
Okay. Shout out Fenty.
Yeah.
Shout out
Shout
Puma.
out Fenty. Shout out Puma.
Okay, but in all seriousness, when you think back to those, let's call them the high school days, but even before that, first things first, when did you hit your growth spurt? Or were you just like always tall?
Oof. I think I was like always tall. So when I was in 8th grade, I was 6'2".
Yeah.
And I'm 6'4" now.
You're
so
tall.
like I was just always.
Yeah, you're just a tall. Yeah. You grew like with.
Yeah.
You're always tall. You grew out. Because I was curious, just it is true. We've seen it, whether it's teammates, you're probably going to see it with your daughter, Ruby. When someone is tall at that age, they get put in the post.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, just like, what was it like to have to fight that in a sense?
Yeah, it was hard. I remember, especially like AAU, and in the beginning, the coaches were like, go to the block, go to the block, go to the block. And my dad was like begging me to shoot threes, like in high school. My junior, senior year in high school, not my senior, but my junior and sophomore, he was like, I'll pay you if you shoot a three. Like, I will give you money if you shoot a three. Because it just was so, like, unorthodox and out of the ordinary. And eventually, you look to now and it's like, that's a huge part of my game is the versatility.
Yeah, it's the norm. So did you have to was it a conversation with a coach? Did you just do it? And then the more success you had, they didn't say anything?
Yeah. Well, I think my high school coach, Eric Smith, he was definitely open to it, especially when I would rebound and then push it in transition. And then it's like even from college to now, and now with the Liberty, like I'm initiating offense more often than not when Tosh and Sab are getting pressured or guarded. And
yeah, where was that a couple years ago?
Oh, you were doing just fine. You didn't need help. You were fine. I just set you screen.
Actually, speaking of screens, this is something I've always been curious about from a post player standpoint. How much of a toll you're setting pick and rolls constantly? How much of a toll
constantly being told that we're not screening good?
Yeah, I know. Well,
constantly.
You olay it a lot.
You're never hitting. You're never hitting.
You guys olay a lot. You think you're hitting, but at the last minute you go olay.
Well, it's probably your fault because you guys leave too soon.
And
then I'm going to get a moving screen.
I don't know about that. But no, seriously, how much of a toll does it take on your body?
Honestly, I think now there's so many different ways to screen, right? They're talking about like a flat screen, a regular screen, a touch and go to try and keep them on your back, a ghost screen, like a slip screen. So like when you're slithering out of the screens, it's not that bad. But when you have like a big hit, that hurts you just as much as it hurts them.
Yeah. I always thought that because remember those days where for the most part we were joking, but we would switch. There were some times in Seattle where the post players in practice would play guard spots and the guards would play the post player spots. And I loved it. I thrived at the four. But the screens, I was like, okay, I get it now. I'm like, I didn't love that part. You're just like getting hit in the gut.
Yeah, and you're going to get hit like in the face probably.
Well, yeah, I'm at a bad height. Yeah. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're talking about, we'll get to that later. So something else that I've kind of noticed in my own, not outside of you, just like watching post players who through their career are versatile, more so are shooters, right? There's a versatility, yes, but like they can shoot.
Yeah.
And so interestingly, when you're younger, it's hard to get out. Like it's hard to get out of the block, right?
Yeah.
But then I notice when you get older, there's like a tendency to just like fade away from it naturally. What is the balance to making sure your versatility, the fact that you can shoot outside, doesn't take away from getting into the paint, doesn't take away from your post-ups?
Yeah. Well, right now, like my threes are like sucking. So hopefully we're going to figure that out.
I noticed. That's up here.
Whatever. It's going to come. But I think with that, like for us, for example, like we're totally doing this 5-out offense, you know, like basically wanting to create space, wanting to keep, you know, even the post players outside the 3-point line. So then there's more space for driving and cutting lanes and stuff like that. But in the beginning, I was like, I need like a happy medium because I don't want to just be out here all the time.
Yeah.
Like I want to rim run and then circle out to the corner, or I want to, you know, dive in and post up my mismatch. So, I think still getting down there and putting pressure on the rim and also knowing that they're going to have to defend this action if they don't do it well, you know? Like, I don't like to be like only out on the perimeter.
Okay, good. Don't lose that.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely something I've seen with other players. It's just kind of like over time. And I was curious, honestly, similar to the screens, like the toll on your body from having to bang down there. Does it just like, oh, I can just shoot it out here now?
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, I mean, definitely can always shoot over them. But especially like getting to the block that I want to get to and trying to get to the right shoulder fade, like, you know, those shots are money and you just feel so confident in them. You can do them with your eyes closed.
You also get beat the hell up on your way down there.
Huh, yeah.
Yeah.
Doom, doom.
I mean,
freedom of movement is wild.
I saw it firsthand. But yeah, the other part of this offense, the other part that I've noticed really in the last couple of years, and this is back to your playmaking a little bit, you're coming off ball screens now. And I'll be honest, when you started to do it a little bit in what was, I think, my last year.
Yeah.
So 2022, you started to do a little bit. Then you go to New York 2023. I'm really starting to see it more. But you were like in that like growing pain phase.
Yeah.
And now you fast forward and you seem a lot more comfortable. What was that? Like, what was that evolution like for you?
That was, I remember in 2023, like doing it, and it was against DC. And I remember this exact game because it was like they had Cloud and Sykes.
Yeah.
In all the ball screen actions, but they're the ones that are like making it tough for the guards. So then Sandy was like, Stu, you just like get in a high ball screen. So it's me and JJ. But then fast forwarding to 2024 and now, like those off seasons of really practicing it. And I feel like the biggest thing for me was finding like my spatial awareness between my defender. You know what I mean? Because if I'm too close, I can't dribble and I can't like.
Well, it's creating the space that you need.
And like if they're coming close to me, like back up and that type of thing, like that's something that I definitely noticed was very, very helpful.
Yeah, I know. Because it is, I've always seen this with you. The times you have come off the ball screens when it's a guard who's screening. That's now a guard jumping out.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different, you know, you've done a really good job, I think, of I think you just said it, adjusting to that space and understanding. Okay. We all know you grew up in Syracuse. Shout out to
Syracuse.
Pretty much dominated high school basketball, ultimately chose UConn. I do love a recruitment story. So what was your recruitment like? Not just there, but the other schools that you looked at.
So I loved North Carolina.
Oh.
When I was a kid.
I didn't know
if I could have committed in 8th grade to North Carolina, I would have gone to North Carolina.
Wow.
I wrote a letter to Sylvia Hatchell.
Really?
I was obsessed. I don't know if it was the colors or what, but I had like jerseys and everything.
Man, I gotta get
and
that
when
letter.
I was younger, I actually went on a visit because I wrote the letter. She let me come on a visit.
What did the letter say?
I don't know. Just that I hope that I can play for her one day or whatever.
Okay.
But it was like 1 year before I blew up.
Okay.
So it must have been when I was in 7th grade.
Okay.
And they like did all the nice things or whatever. And then it was like 8th grade. They were like, come back.
Oh my God.
So that was.
I love it. It went from like they thought they were doing you a favor to now like begging you.
I know. I would have committed to them right there on the spot.
And it wouldn't have meant anything.
Yeah, sure.
You would have taken it right back.
I know. Yeah, probably. college visit story when I was at UConn. I don't know. I think I was just like so like overwhelmed with what was happening. I remember going in, it was college game day, and it was like UConn probably versus, I don't even know, Notre Dame or something.
Yeah, who knows, yeah.
Maya was playing, and it was just like bananas, and Coach Rama was nice, and CD was caring about my things, and then
and then you get there. That's the exact opposite. But so was UConn like a foregone conclusion? You knew pretty much right away?
Basically, once I went there, and then I visited some other schools. It was like, these schools are amazing, you know? Yeah. They look incredible, and they have all this stuff, but you can't get, from a player perspective, what players get from UConn. And that's from like the coaches and just the players that have gone there before. Like that championship mindset and mentality doesn't happen everywhere.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be the best.
How much of a role did who you went with play? Like Morgan Tuck, Mariah Jefferson?
Yeah. A huge role. Morgan and Mariah, like I think at one point we all visited together.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, are we going to do it? Like, are we going to all commit? And then I had one more visit. Tuck was like, I'm going to commit right now. And then I went on one more visit, and then I committed, and then Mo committed as well. And just from like knowing each other with USA Basketball and AAU and all these things, like we had a lot of fun together, and we wanted to do what was never done before, which is crazy, honestly. Even saying it now, I'm like, what? That was wild.
Honestly, it is one of my favorite stories, just like asking you, like, you know, your famous quote, which is your freshman year, prior to your freshman year, like, yeah, we want to win 4 national championships in a row. And when I asked you, I was like, why'd you say that? You were just like, well, what else was I supposed to say?
Exactly. What was I supposed to say?
And I was like, yeah, good point. Well, we just want to win one.
Just want to win one.
We'll win a couple.
Go 2 for 4.
Maybe lose one, win one next year. Get motivated. That's actually one of my favorite things. But your freshman year, I find this so interesting. I know. I love your face. It tells the story, which is the story I'm trying to get to. When you look back on it, okay, so as we were preparing for this interview, one of the things that was recommended was like, oh my God, she scored 169 points in the first 10 games at UConn, breaking Maya Moore's record. She won, obviously, 4 national championships, 4 most outstanding player at the Final Four in a row. And so, yeah, it'd be natural to be like, why was the adjustment so seamless? And I was like, actually that wasn't
tough.
The case. So take us through your freshman year. Yeah.
My freshman year started off great.
Clearly, you broke Maya Moore's record.
Clearly. Broke records, was doing all the things, was playing. And then all of a sudden, we got to like midway through the season, or I don't know, conference play, and coach was just on me.
It was too easy.
It was too easy, so he had to like press all the buttons. And did he press all the buttons at the same time? Yes, he did. And I struggled to like catch my feet and figure out what direction was the right way to go at that point. But
what was he doing? Like, what do you remember about it?
I just remember like in practice, like practices were awful. Like he was just on me all the time. Like it wasn't doing this, wasn't doing that, wasn't this. Run the stadiums, missed a rebound, do all this. He made me run stadiums when I missed a rebound in practice.
Wow, 1 rebound?
1 rebound. And he literally just left me there. CD had to tell him like, hey, she's still going.
She's still running. Tough.
Yeah. Then it became a mental thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like it's safe to assume that year probably shaped you in ways, but I want to hear you talk about it. Like, how do you think it shaped you?
Yeah, I think in that moment, I was like, I hate this. I probably would have transferred. If we didn't win, I probably would have transferred because I'm like, I'm not going through this shit again. Like, what? But what it taught me later was like working through adversity. You know, when things are difficult, when I can't like figure out how to do a layup, getting in the gym and like building that confidence back up through just reps and then translating it to games and that type of action. And I think that's what I did. You know, there's like a big middle portion of that my freshman year that just was like, terrible. Like
Yeah,
I had
you
like
got benched
I
a
had
couple
like
times.
0 points.
Yeah.
And I don't usually have 0 points.
I've never seen it. I have personally never seen that. You score by accident. You're actually the opposite. You're the person that when you go, obviously Megan and I have courtside seats at the Liberty games, and it's hilarious because, 3 quarters will have gone by and you'll be like, oh, like, it's not that you don't notice you. You obviously notice you, but you're like, oh, what's Stewie's line tonight? You look and be like, 25. You're like the exact opposite. You score, but like by osmosis.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I was really just not scoring.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just, at one point, it was the Big East tournament. I remember like the Big East final, and like I snapped out of it. I was playing confident, and we actually lost the game. It was at XL Center. We lost the game, and I remember Coach Oriema coming into the locker room like, I'm going to show you guys how to win. And from there, we went.
He loves a break you down to build you up moment.
I know.
That's
I tell
what
them
he
now,
saw.
I was like,
Are you like, thank you? Or are you like, I didn't need that?
I'm like, thanks, but
there's other ways. No. You actually remind me of something that happened. It was actually my sophomore year because my freshman year I got hurt. I didn't play that many games. So it was my sophomore year. And very similar. What do point guards always do on a shot? They're the ones that have to get back. You're the ones protecting. You got to get back. You got to get back. We were playing half court. We were running our offense half court. And we're having a little bit of a tough day. Whatever play we're running, we can't get it, yada, yada. Finally, we like figure it out. We score. I happen to be in the corner because like that's where I ended up in this offense at this moment, right? Somebody shoots, it scores. Yay! Bleep! Sue Bird! They just got a layup in transition. I was like, no, they didn't. We're playing half court. Like you didn't get back. So it was basically like whatever momentum we had just started to build immediately got, swept away. We had to like start over, whatever we were doing. And I always think about that moment because to me, what always separates UConn players, especially right when they get out of college, because it's so fresh, is this like pursuit of perfection.
mm-hmm.
Like because he coaches and the whole staff expects that you can't miss a rebound. God forbid you miss a layup. I don't even want to know what you had to do if you missed a layup. I always joke that they have adult tantrums on the sideline when these things happen, but that feeds into the players because we do. We have this idea that perfection can be reached, and we play that way. We have expectations around it. And that to me is always what's been kind of like the biggest separator. Culturally, what do you think UConn, what do you think that experience taught you about how teams are built?
I think that we can have the best, but not the best players don't always gel together and mesh together. And the fact that we're able to just trust one another and give people opportunity and room to kind of grow, but also be themselves on the court is something that's so special. I think when you look at, I don't know, I feel like with my teams, we had probably the best team, compared to all the other teams that year. But you have to work to make that happen and to be able to play well. And we just respected one another's game. And sometimes when you put all the best together, it doesn't click. Doesn't do that.
Yeah. When did you know? Listen, I get it. You wanted to win 4 national championships. We already joked about it. But when did you actually know?
Yeah.
Guys, we could do this.
After my first one.
Okay.
So my first one was the year that Shoni Schimmel beat Baylor.
Out Baylor, yeah.
That wild whatever shot.
Yeah, against BG.
And I remember we were like, we have a chance. Now this is our way in.
You played them in the regular season and it was tough. I think I was there. Yeah, it was tough.
So after we won that one, it was also all the shit that we went through that season, especially me, Morgan, Mariah. We could learn from that. And then sophomore year, it was we smoked everybody.
Yeah.
And then junior year, we lost one game, and he'll never let us forget that. And then senior year, we beat everybody again.
That's amazing.
He was like, you guys would be 100 and something and oh.
I know.
If it wasn't for that. I'm like, whatever.
So actually, that kind of sparks the thought here. A lot of players, I always say the best thing about my college experience and anybody who wins their senior year is you don't really look back and have regret. even if there's moments or games you lost, you won. You ended on a high note. I think about college. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have any like shoulda, coulda, wouldas? Any regrets? Does that game stick out? Or you're like, nah, I'm good.
From college?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're good.
I mean, I would like to fix my freshman year, I guess, but
You kind of needed it.
I kind of needed it.
I think you needed it.
So yeah, I'm good. I never had to do spring workouts. I never had none of that.
I know you're off. We didn't call it an off season in college, but your summers.
I heard those were so awful. If you lose and
They
then
are
you
awful.
have like a few weeks, you have to practice again. No, we didn't do
They
that.
are awful. I really only had one though, because my freshman year I was like, well, I didn't play. We lost in Sweet 16. I was like, what was it me? So yeah, your class finishes as one of the most men's, women's, doesn't matter, successful classes. And now we're on to the WNBA. Do you have any memory of like where you were when you heard
Yes.
that Seattle? You
Yes.
do. So draft lottery happens. Hit me.
Draft lottery's happening. I'm in my apartment
Or they're going to be like, I was in physics 101. No, go ahead. You're in your apartment.
in Hilltop,
Mhm.
and I was watching it and I was like, please not Connecticut. Please not Connecticut. Please not Connecticut. Just because I've been there. I've been there for 4 years and I wanted to leave.
100%.
So then it was like I think,
I don't even remember.
Connecticut, San Antonio, and yeah, Connecticut, San Antonio, and Seattle.
There wasn't a fourth
Because-
team? Oh, did somebody have twice?
I don't know, but it was me, Morgan, and Mariah. One, two, three.
I know who won fourth.
I don't know, but we went 1, 2, 3.
Okay, keep talking. I'll Google it.
And
I love it. I don't know.
when it was Seattle, I was like, yes, this is great. I've never been
Okay.
to Seattle, but let's go.
So you were happy.
I was happy. I was
Okay.
excited.
That
I was
makes
like,
me
let me
happy.
go see something else. I'll be with Sue. She did her rehab with me. We're like friends.
So yeah, so we did. So actually, I think we first met. Vaguely remember this, which is to say we didn't spend time together. But I think I was at a UConn game when you were on one of those. Sounds like you visited like 10 times.
A lot.
Yeah, you on one of your visits. I think we were in like the Civic Center, the XL Center. Yeah, I just
Probably.
I remember like your limbs. I remember being told like, oh, that's Breanna Stewart. Like she's gonna be the next best thing. And then I remember your hair. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody told me about hairspray. I don't know.
Yeah,
What's happening?
we all have a journey, you know, we all have an evolution. But I did rehab a couple times at school.
Mhm.
So obviously spent a little bit of time with you there. I remember I got your phone number from Steph Dolson. And so forever you were saved in my phone as Stewie because that's the contact she sent me. But yeah, so Seattle gets the number one pick. I know where I was. I've told this story a billion times, but I was in Bellevue randomly with some friends, but like at like a restaurant bar. It was midday-ish on the West Coast. And I asked them to put the TV on because this was like a really pivotal moment for me. I
Yeah,
know
because
know
you
the
were
story.
going to leave.
I don't know that I was gonna leave.
You were thinking about
But I
it.
was kind of like, I'll be honest, this was the question that Coach Auriemma posed to me. And it just like sat. It just sat there. And 2015 was a tough year. We had just gotten Jewel. So we're like rebuilding. All of like my friends and people my age are gone.
Mhm.
Because like I said, we're rebuilding. And Coach Auriemma said, as this free agency was kind of looming, he was like, do you ever want to play in a meaningful basketball game again? And I was like, damn. And then he was like, do you ever want to be in the playoffs again? I was like, damn. I just hadn't thought of it that way. I'd kind
Was
of
he
like,
just like hitting you with these one-liners?
Yeah.
Is this in person? Or?
yeah. No, it wasn't in person. It was like on text.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. I like really felt that because I hadn't thought of it that way. I thought of like rebuild, Seattle. I want to be here forever. I'm in. I'm good. Blah, blah, blah. And then he hit me with those bangers and I was like, fuck. So anyways, I wasn't like almost gonna leave, but that was a big day. For you, it was a big day for me. Because as we were watching, I had them put it on TV. I don't even remember if there was volume. I just remember seeing Jenny stand there and like all these things. There must have been volume. All these things were happening. And then it was like, and the second pick goes to whoever the hell it went to.
Mhm.
I don't even remember. San Antonio.
San
whoever it
Antonio,
was.
yeah.
And then I was like, to my friends, I was like, guys, I'm staying. I'm staying, guys. I'm staying. So you coming to Seattle was a very pivotal moment for me as well, as you know. So when you first get out there, like, what are your first thoughts? Not just basketball, like the city, everything. You'd said you'd never been there.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like it was so big because I'm just coming from stores. So I'm like, so many things, and the weather's nice, and it's grass and trees and water. I don't know. It's crazy because I remember like my apartment, and it was like a 1-bedroom, basically a studio. I had like
God, what building were you in at that point? Expo? No.
Expo.
Expo?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one
Expo.
next to the arena?
Yeah.
Okay.
Expo. I was at Expo. And I was like, this is great. I love it. So much space. Now I'm like, I could never live there again. I could never. Too much shit.
No. What do you mean? You have too many people.
Yeah. Too much. I mean, even
have little humans.
Yeah. Way too many.
Yeah, like too many clothes, too many shoes. That's hilarious. You thought your apartment was big. I love that. Okay, so after basically, being dominant your whole career, right? And of course in college, what was, as you get into the WNBA, what was like your biggest adjustment?
The physicality.
Yeah.
I remember like in training camp, I was like, they're just so strong and like running into people and like running through them, and like they hit you one time and it's like, hello. And then I was like, am I going to make the team? Like, I'm like, I got to make the team.
Yeah, I hope so. The whole offense is built around you. Fucking hope you make it. That's amazing. Did you know you broke the WNBA record for defensive rebounds in a season, your rookie year?
I feel like I knew that.
Yeah, with 227. Does that surprise you, knowing that physicality is the biggest adjustment? I was surprised.
Yes. Yes and no.
Okay, so how about this? What did translate? What were you like, okay, so physicality is adjustment, all the banging and whatnot. But what were you like, oh, I'm still able to do this?
Yeah, I think it was like running the floor.
Yeah.
You passing it ahead out in transition. I feel like that was pretty much what we did that year, was like run. We're down 20. Let's run and see if we can somehow get back into the game. So yeah, that. I mean, I guess the defensive rebounding, because I was just like running after the ball.
Yeah.
It was just,
you were all over the place.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Which players did you have the hardest time against? Like, who was the biggest challenge?
Ooh, well, I think in 2016, I was like guarding the fives.
Yeah.
And I remember like one time with Jenny, I was like, I'm just so tired. Something along those lines. I remember exactly where it was, and I know you remember too.
Yeah.
So it was like guarding Sue, guarding BG, and then guarding Elena and Candace, and then Maya. Like, it was just like one after another. It was like, here, guard another one of the best, and another one, and another one.
And being asked to, because we played very up tempo. The whole thing was paced, not just in the full court, but in the half court too. So then on top of that, being asked. But I am curious about the offensive part too. Like I loved playing that offense, and I'm curious just like what you remember about first learning it, because it is very much. Jewel actually said this when I interviewed a couple weeks ago. Like, I forget exactly how she said it, but controlled chaos.
Yeah.
We knew what we were doing, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
But it was also like chaotic. Did you enjoy playing in that?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I think it was like, because we were moving at such a high speed, it was like, you got to do something. Whether it's the right or the wrong thing, or like what you're expecting or not, like cut to the basket, set a screen, do something. But it was the way to get open.
Yeah.
And the way to kind of move them around, and like defensively, people just wanted to blow you up, like blow us up and make it tough. So if we were faster than them, it was a little bit easier. Yeah,
that was the one way to counteract the physicality. Because like I wouldn't say you don't like physicality. It's just like you're constantly getting beat up. It's just like a constant chuck.
Anytime I have like a rip screen.
Oh my God, you're just getting chucked. I don't like physicality. So here we have like two, players of the quote unquote big three, where it's like, we'd rather just get away from it, right? We'd rather play in space. Yeah. So I always thought it worked. What from like, you're the number one pick, you have all this hype, the whole like expectation of it all, like how was that your first year mentally? Did you feel it? Was it too much? Did you not notice it?
I don't think I like noticed too much about the number one pick. Like, I knew I was the number one pick, and I knew that people were like gonna come after me or whatever. But I felt like I was holding my own pretty
you held
well.
your own. Game 1, I remember right away.
Me too. I thought we were
played
gonna
LA.
win.
Really?
And we got smoked.
Oh my God, we got
I was like,
smoked.
oh, we're gonna win.
I think it was the worst play, like one of the worst games. I literally looked in the mirror after that game, like, is this it? Elena Beard like snatched my soul that day, and I was like, is this it? But it wasn't. Spoiler, it wasn't.
Was not.
But it really caught me off guard. But I remember you played great. You had like a very strong showing.
Mhm.
Like forget the stats, I could just tell you had like a presence about you. So when you look at like young players now and just like the expectations, the hype, what advice do you give them based off your own experience? I mean, you had a great experience, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, the advice I would give younger players would just be a sponge. Like, learn as much as you can. Thankfully, like, I had you as a vet, and Lang was there, and just able to kind of understand why we were doing all the things, because you don't get into the nitty gritty and like all the details in college about like, you're doing this, and if they ice like this, you're gonna go like this, and if you're gonna slip and all that. So just kind of learning how to read and react, because it is so important, and you can tell when people don't know how to do it.
Yeah,
like it's really tough. So slowing down and then having this motor, like if your team isn't good, you still have to keep moving, because you're gonna wear down these other teams because they constantly have to chase you.
Yeah, very true. So we make the playoffs in 2016 and 2017, but we don't win. Shout out to the single elimination games. RIP on those. What was that like given your success prior? Like, was it really frustrating to get to the playoffs after this insane success and lose? It's like your first time losing in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, I think what was harder was like we were just losing all these games. Mm-hmm. We were like, I don't even know, 17 and 16 or 16 and 18.
Yeah,
or
we squeaked in.
We were like 500.
Like the 7 and 8 seed.
So that was an adjustment of just like dealing with the loss and then figuring out like, oh, what are we doing after? And I'm like, I don't know. Should we just like go be sad or something? Like, think about it. But the single game eliminations definitely sucked.
Yeah.
Like, because I felt like for us, it was like, well, we have a chance. Because
we had to wear teams down.
We could wear teams down, and like maybe we could beat a team.
Mm-hmm.
But then just like that, your season's done.
Yeah.
All that. And
It's abrupt. It's abrupt. I feel like that off season though, like 2017 going into 2018, is big for you. Mm-hmm. You went overseas. Yeah. You'd been going to China.
Yeah.
So real quick, just like, what role did China play, and what did you change in that particular off season to then have your first MVP season in 2018?
Well, isn't that when I did Susan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was leading the witness there.
So I went back to China, which was great because I was comfortable with where I was, same club, like knew all the things. But the biggest adjustment was starting work with Susan.
Yeah.
Susan Borchard, who is your trainer. And I feel like that was the thing, is like, I was like, well, what would you do if you were me? Like right now. And you said to like focus on your body.
I was like, hire Susan immediately.
Yeah. I remember you were like, hire Susan, but like if you're gonna hire her, like you have to do it for real.
Yeah.
Like, because it's gonna be like, it's not gonna be some big jump, but it's gonna be like a little bit more than anybody else is doing. And I'll never forget that, because it's like you're signing yourself up to do so many things, which at that point I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do all this. No, I don't.
Very quickly, if you work with Susan is to know she's going to plan out your day, and there's going to be obviously the chunk of it, which is like a workout. Let's call it the off season. There's also going to be a recovery, and every now and then it would be like, I'm not joking, it would be like, take a nap. Like it could be like that much of a detailed schedule. There was always Normateching on there.
Yeah,
so
always.
Like 20 minutes in the Normatech. Get your 20 minutes in the Normatech. At one point, Stewie told me that there would be times where she maybe would like skip a day or two of Normatech, and then on the third day, she would just add all the minutes up. So if it's 22, she'd be like doing 60 minutes in one day of Normatech. I was like, I don't know if it works that way, but I knew you were locked in at that point. I was like, oh.
I had greatness guilt.
Yeah.
Even still, when I like have to miss something, I'm
I know, there is guilt.
I feel terrible about this.
You're far from retirement, but that's one of the things that really takes its time dying is that guilt of like missing something. Yeah. Oh man, that cracks me up. I bet your frog pulses are a lot better now though. Those
Honestly, yes. I don't do them that much.
No, yeah, they're not in the program
Susan
anymore.
probably saw like, meh, she doesn't do well with these.
But your 2018 season was amazing. I mean, that team was so fun. We finally figured it out. Running around all over the place, but you were obviously the core of that. You did break my nose in the playoffs. It's okay. It set us up. It set a whole story up. If I'm not wearing a mask, it doesn't end as good. But you averaged 25, 6, and 3 in the finals. You already talked about Susan, but what else in your game like clicked for you this year? It's actually, I think, looking back at your 3-point shooting percentage, you shot the best this year.
Yeah, I think it was the confidence in that and like shooting without hesitation. I feel like when in doubt, when we had a struggle, we ran horns flare.
Yeah.
And the read was either like a slip by Tosh or I was going to get it and just shoot it. And just finding those openings, knowing that you or Jewel or somebody was going to create and not always kind of like letting things develop. Yeah. And just figuring out where I was going to get my best shot.
Yeah. It's funny how it's so true. This like, it's not cliche, but a lot of people do say like when things start to click, the game actually slows down. I feel for you that year. Like you knew like everything was done with purpose, with an intent. I knew we were going to win. I mean, I feel like I knew we were going to win. I knew we had a good chance of winning going into the playoffs. I was like, okay, like we could probably do this. Phoenix series was tough. When we got to the finals, it wasn't like a foregone conclusion, but I will say game 3, we've won game 1 and 2. Game 3, you and Tosh come out just like blazing. You two hit like all your 3. I was like, oh my God, we're going to win. I was like, this is it. It's a wrap. You're always thinking worst case scenario. This is like, oh, it's over. Yeah. Even though they made a little bit of a comeback. Honestly though, when I think back to that, outside of being just like a dream for me to even be in the finals, I'm still mad at Sasha Howard for texting the group chat prior to like that that trip. Yes. We're going to DC. We win 1 game. We're good. We win. She's like, hey guys, don't worry. I got the champagne goggles. And we're like, cool. Tasha's got it set. I walked in the locker room. Well, I don't know. She went to Target. She went to Walmart and bought some like toddler swim goggles. I was like, and you had your Red Bull ones on. So you're the only one that looked cool. The rest of us look like we're getting ready for our 5-year-old swim lesson, our first swim lesson ever. I couldn't believe it.
That's probably like why the WNBA provides the goggles.
Thank God. 2020, we had good goggles. I couldn't believe it. I was like, but you know what? You have to put them on because the champagne hurts. It stings and it's getting in your eyes. Yeah. I was so pissed. The other thing I'm properly pissed at is we never get to run it back in 2019.
I know.
We both get hurt. That one, I look back and I'm like, damn.
I know, me too.
And it would have been, I believe, obviously a whole season has to play out. Well, yeah, could have been 3 in a row, but also we would have played DC in the finals and we were like pretty like similar. That would have been like a really, I think that would have been a great series. But you tear your Achilles, which is also, I feel like your freshman year in college, pivotal moment, Achilles tear pivotal moment. What'd you learn from that rehab process?
Oof, that sucked. I think what I learned is just like really appreciating any time that I'm on the court because, when you do something like that where you lose all your independence, it's like, God, totally like what am I going to do? How am I going to function? Like even normally walking my dog or things like that. And just coming back with a vengeance. It took me a while because I was like, this rehab process is long and like, is it going to come back normal? Is it going to come back the same? But I showed up every day and did the rehab. And I think that was because, by then I was so regimented with Susan. I remember calling her when I was in Chopron, Hungary, right after I did it. And I was like,
let's go.
I just did it.
Those are the worst calls.
I just messed it up.
Those are the ones where the reality like truly sets in. It sets in when you're like, fuck. Yeah. When you know something is not right. But then when you have to say it, it sets in a different way. Luckily, I had Marta with you too, though.
Yeah. That's when she started talking to me.
Buds. We won't get into that. That's more of a touch more topic.
Yeah. That's It's not basketball related.
But yeah, but you obviously you rehab well. We go into the 2020 season, the bubble season. Obviously so much is happening. Very quickly, two things I want to talk about with the 2020. First, I asked Jewel this too. 2018 or 2020?
2018.
2018?
Yeah.
Interesting. I know. I think
Because
I
the
kind
fans.
of agree. Oh, no. I meant like the team.
Oh.
Not the experience. No, the experience. I don't know.
Yeah, 2018.
You think 2018?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think if 2020 had more time, it could have, because we were deeper. Piff, Ezzy.
I know.
Yeah. But 2018, we were on one. The other thing that I think starts in 2020, not I think, it does, is you and Asia now like emerge as like, this is it. These are the top two players. Yeah. And then from literally that point on, it's like each year, who's going to get the MVP?
Yeah.
What I'm curious about is, it's like a testament to the two of you, but it must also be a little bit of like a drain or just like an exhaustion that's connected to it, constantly having to hear the talk and then honestly waiting for the end of each year to be like, well, who's going to get it? Mm-hmm. So like what, from like a mental standpoint, obviously you guys are friends, you respect each other. It's not about that.
Yeah.
People hype, that's not about that at all. But just like what is that experience like for you?
I think it's just like a little bit, it's stressful because it's like, you do all these things and you want to be great. And then it's like, well, she's doing this and Stewie's doing that and this and this. And she should be doing this and she should be doing that and this. And it's just kind of like enough. Like at this point with the voting, it's like people are going to do whatever they want. They're going to believe who they think is the person based on their opinions and sometimes not based on facts. But yeah, I mean, Asia and I have like tons of respect for one another. Like her game is incredible, and there's just always like a story trying to be written about us being like,
yeah. Well, I'm actually more curious, less about that, but just more like, how has it motivated you? Mm-hmm. Right, like you two are basically always setting the bar.
Yeah.
So is that like something that's been a motivator?
Yeah, just knowing like every year getting better. Mm-hmm. I think. Even the way that Asia's game had developed since, when she first entered the league to not where she is now, but even the bubble season.
Yeah.
And how she continues to kind of add things to her game. And, knowing that players like us with that versatility, there's so many things you can constantly add. And it's like in the offseason, sometimes it's like, well, which one do I pick? Like, which one do I focus on the most?
That's a different problem from like the rest of us. Must be nice.
But
like, then what amazing talent should I use now?
But then like implementing it into the game and I feel like at that point, especially in 2020, we knew like we're the ones that are going to be like pushing this thing forward, like really from a skill level standpoint of like, you got to be here with us. And that's what we did.
Yeah. No, you guys have definitely been carrying that. To finish out a little bit, 2021, tough year for us. You get injured at the end. 2022.
It's a tough year.
Yeah, it was a tough year because of how it ended. And I feel like we all believe we could have. But I am just like so thankful for our time that we played together.
Me too.
It really was so special. Yeah. I actually go to, like I said, this is, we're recording this the week of June 11th. I go to the Hall of Fame. So you might get a shout out in my speech. We'll see. We'll see how the rest of this interview goes. So now free agency comes and goes. You're off to New York.
Yep.
Looking back on the decision to come to New York, did you anticipate just like how much of a phenomenon this organization was going to become?
Mm-mm.
Was there any way to like see it?
No.
Really?
I don't know. I think
it's happened fast and it's been like crazy.
It's bananas.
Yeah.
In Barclays. Like it's crazy. But it's incredible. I think that, between knowing that I was ready to leave Seattle and start a new chapter and then going with JJ and Sloot, we already were bringing like a championship mindset and mentality to New York. And from there on, it was, 2023, we were working with what we had and trying to gel as quickly as possible. And still, it was an incredible season, But the way that the fans are behind us too, like that's what's the most exciting. Because now it's like they're so locked in every single night. We played Connecticut and we were winning by like a lot.
Yeah, I saw.
But they were all still there. You know, they're
Well, it's an
chanting.
experience.
They're chanting
It's
for
not
like
just
one
the
more
game.
three.
Yeah. Yeah, because you guys almost broke your own record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, they're in lockstep with everything that we're doing, no matter, you know, if we're up by a lot or up by a little.
Yeah. You brought up JJ and Sloot. Real quick with JJ, do you think playing overseas with her helped you guys click? Like you already had an understanding?
Yeah. I think.
Because you're both like MVP post players. You're not in the same position, but you're like occupying the same space on the floor.
Space. I think for sure playing overseas helped. And then even the first year. Because it's sometimes we were in each other's space.
Yeah.
And that's like on me and also on her, just creating more space for each other to have room to work and then figuring out how to have such a great tandem together.
Yeah. And then Sloot. Oh, I was like tore up when I heard that news. Just talk about like how great it's been playing with Sloot. Obviously, for those that don't know, I can't imagine anybody doesn't know, but Sloot sadly tore her ACL. She's out for the year. Yeah. Just what are your thoughts on Sloot?
I love Sloot. I think that once I played with her in Russia in ECAT as well, I was like, well, I want to do more of this.
Yeah.
Like I wanna figure this out more. And for her to honestly really shout out to Sloot, for her to be able to come to New York, like that wasn't where she was initially wanting to go. But she wanted to do something special and win championships, and the way that she can read and react and get downhill and have these insane like no look passes, those practices in the beginning, it was like
you get hit in the head.
Get your eyes up and your hands like ready, because that thing is flying at you. But really cool to be her teammate for 2 seasons, and I was happy for her to go back home, you know, to Chicago, knowing, you know, baby Jana was coming and is here now. It's just tough. Life sometimes is really tough because it's like you have these highs and then you have these lows, but her circle is bigger with the baby, and I know that she'll help her through the whole rehab process, and we'll see her back next year.
Yeah, I know.
They're the worst. Injuries suck.
Yeah. I mean, ACLs, it's not like a death sentence by any means, but what it automatically does mean, similar to an Achilles, although Achilles is much longer, it's just time. It just takes time. She will likely come back and be fine. Yeah. It's just a lot of time. And we all know, like, that first day is like, oh God, I have like months and months ahead of me. So I just felt so bad. Speaking of the highs and the lows, you already brought up 2023 and losing in the finals.
Yep. Missed a shot.
Yeah, I mean, listen, these things happen. You're not used to that, though.
No,
so that's actually what's interesting about 2023. This is probably the first time you've lost in a finals.
Yeah.
Every other time, to my knowledge, I don't know like high school stuff, but every other time to my knowledge that you've gotten to a finals, you've won. Yep. Except maybe when you tore your Achilles overseas.
Yeah, which that doesn't count.
That doesn't count, right? So like, man, I actually talked to Breanna about this and how obviously it was a motivator. Of course it is. I've said this time and time again, a big believer, no team wins without some devastating loss prior. But for you specifically, you've never lost in the finals. What did that do to you?
That was hard. You know, I think because that season, like everything was going great. And then the postseason, things just got a little bit harder. Like physically, mentally, on the court, off the court, because like Marta and her dad, that whole situation. But I wasn't my best in the finals, and that's what really frustrates me. But I can like acknowledge that wholeheartedly, and I know that like I want to be taking that shot, and then I'm talking about the shot that was missed in game 4 to like for them to win. But it was motivating for me to come back, you know, and wanting to be better and wanting to make sure that, you know, I had a chip on my shoulder of getting back to the finals and doing more and still having that same confidence, because I believe like anytime I'm on the court, like we can win.
Yeah, you do have that. It's the Stewie shrug. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, like I don't even know what the question would be to prompt you. You'll be like, yeah. You just like,
yeah.
There's like a irrational confidence that you've always had that you don't ever lose.
Yeah.
Don't ever lose it.
Calling me crazy confidence.
No, not crazy confidence. You're just like, yeah, we're gonna win.
Yeah.
And you say it in a way that's like, and everyone else around you, myself included, I was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna win. That's special. I think that is a part of your confidence that separates you. What's been just like, you're teamed up with Sabrina. Mm-hmm. Obviously, 2023 is the first year, but then moving on, like what has those 3 years been with the two of you as teammates?
Mm-hmm. I think for us, we just build chemistry. Mm-hmm. Obviously, showing her how to be a leader in her own way and kind of embracing that because, she's not a rookie. She's well into the league at this point and finding her game through a number of different ways, knowing that people are going to try to blow her up. They're going to top block her. They're going to make things difficult. And how can we make things easier for one another? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like in a two-man game, there's always going to be something. And I felt that with me and you and me and Jewel. It's like eventually they have to give something.
Yeah.
And then you just keep taking advantage of that until they take that away. But I think her, like, obviously she's an incredible shot maker. But even this year, like just her reads, her playmaking, her finding people on backdoor passes, like it's been a lot of fun, and she loves the energy, and especially in Barclays, loves to kind of get them hype.
Yeah, she got hype on that one review against Connecticut. That was hilarious. I know. I'm sure. I feel like something was said between her and Marina, like an LOL. You don't need to tell me, but. Unless you can.
Well, I think it was just that she hit her hair.
Yeah.
she was like, look at my hair. Look at my pony.
That's my pony up. Okay. You win in 2024. Congratulations. That series was insane. Yep. I don't want to talk about the end. We've talked about it enough.
Yes.
Just the series overall. How tiring was that series?
Exhausting. And I feel what's like one of the biggest pain points and one of the things that needs to be kind of figured out is like between game 4 and game 5 was one day.
Yeah, no, it was tight.
Like literally one day in between game for you to like rest and recover your body and your mind and get back out. And it's game 5 winner take all.
Yeah.
But it was hard because it was like drama.
Yeah.
In everything.
It had everything.
On the court, off the court, game winners here, game winners there.
Mm-hmm. Controversial
calls.
Mm-hmm.
Game 4, same situation.
Yep.
But I remember like being in game 5 and knowing like, first of all, we were down like 15 points or something. But you could feel that we were going to come back and we needed to keep our cool when we were down and like fight through it because eventually you're going to have an opportunity to like get back in there, and we did.
What's the moment between missing free throws and then making free throws?
Mm-hmm.
How
directly
are you mentally?
After?
Yeah. No, that's not a lot of people can overcome that.
Yeah.
I know it's easy to think like, fuck, I just missed these free throws, even now. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you came back, had to step up and then made them, that's what you should take from that. So I'm curious if you have taken it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll like think back to the game 1 where it was like, I had the free throw to win the game, and I only made 1, and we went to overtime. So then it's like you go to game 5, and it's like here we are again at the free throw line.
Yep.
30 seconds prior, I just missed 2 in a row. It's just like not normal. Yeah. And when I get those free throws again, it's kind of like all the things are running through your mind. How the finals went last year.
Yeah.
Missing these free throws again. These are going to be the biggest free throws of my career up to this point. And I remember just like thinking about, all right, I'm going to just do my routine. I'm going to make the first one, and then I'm going to make the second one. And like, it was so quiet in that gym. It was so quiet.
It was.
But I was like, I'm going to just do my routine and shoot the ball confidently, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I'm going to know like I did everything that I could have done. And they won.
Yeah, it worked out.
Stressful.
Yeah. Which brings us current. You are having a great year. Your team is having a great year. I am curious, like, how are you feeling just in your game? Because there are some interesting numbers. We already kind of mentioned the 3-point shooting. That to me is a mental thing that eventually, great shooters are great shooters are great shooters. Like it comes around.
It's gonna work.
But you are shooting a low percentage in 3-point, but you're shooting high from your twos.
Yeah.
Career high in field goal percentage overall. So that's kind of
Weird,
an interesting
right?
thing. Yeah. You're actually shooting a career low in attempts, but you're still averaging 19 points. So it's like, it's kind of all these fluctuations, which of course, attempts especially speaks to just like how much talent, the way you guys are playing. No one has to be the one all the time. You have so much to spread it around. But overall, just like when you think about your development, you know, becoming even more of a playmaker, like how are you feeling in your game right now?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good, especially like now. Like within the past 2 weeks, we had like a crazy stretch of like 4 and 6 days. And that was a little bit tough just because like you're working back rehab wise, but also, you know, you're not used to playing like this many games this quickly.
Yeah. Rehab wise, just very quickly, Stewie had off season knee surgery.
Yeah.
You're good now, but
great now. But like,
was coming back from that.
Exactly. So it's like finding my groove, figuring out, getting back into it. Like in the beginning of the season, I wasn't rebounding as well. So that was something that was frustrating to me.
I was going to bring that up.
I had 1 rebound, 1 game.
I know. Last year you averaged 8.5, which isn't even the most, but just last year, this year. This year averaging 5.4.
Okay. Well, it's going to come up.
Okay.
Just like my 3-point percentage.
Okay, great.
It's all going to come up.
I mean, I was like toying with if I want to say it, but.
It's fine. I know. CD already texted me. You had 1 more rebound than a dead person.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks
Classic.
a lot, CD. But just being efficient.
Yeah.
I think obviously, you know, I'm going to be more and more aggressive, like shot taking and stuff like that. But like you said, the playmaking, like getting downhill, knowing that they're coming. They're always coming. And trying to spray to the corner, especially opposite corner when I can like go like this.
Look at you. A different kind of hook shot these days.
Exactly. and really just taking what the defense gives me. And I think, you know, like you said, we have a team right now where nobody has to do too much. And obviously there's going to be nights where there's more on my plate or more on Sab's plate. But to really work in and implement the depth of this team is going to be so special, especially building everybody's confidence for the run that we want to make later.
Yeah. When you look around the league, what stands out? Other teams?
I think obviously Minnesota, like the fact that they're playing well, and that's to no surprise either. But I think everyone else is kind of like working out the kinks, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's early. It's hard to really kind of see what's going to happen. But like half the league has like a bad record already. But those are the most dangerous teams. Like those are the ones that you're like, I got to be on my P's and Q's. Like I have to be like ready to go.
No, yeah. Don't let records, not you, like the general, you can't let a record fool you.
These
because
teams are good.
Not only are they good, when they do figure out the kinks, they're going to be like weather tested.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, oh, I've already been through the shit.
Yeah.
This game's nothing. You know, those are the tough ones.
Yeah. So I feel like you can't decide anything yet. Like we're 9 games in and there's so many more games to come. But just for us, like in New York, we're just trying to be consistently great. And I think from what we were last year, like there was moments where we would like dip down or lose 2 games in a row. And then it was like the world is imploding, you know, what's going to happen next. And now just, you know, imposing our will like on a nightly basis.
Yeah. All right. So I know it's championship or bust this year. Of course, it's probably that every year for you, but I know it's championship or bust for you this year. Where would going back to back stack up in your career highlights?
The opportunity to go back to back, I don't know. Like I want to feel that feeling again of like celebrating with the city and in New York, because that celebration was like no other. But I also think back to what you said is like, and this was when we were in Seattle, winning is so hard. You know, you win once and you're like, oh, we're going to be right back there the next year. And then it's not for like years later, you know? So not losing sight of that and knowing that at some point throughout the season, there is going to be adversity, and how are we going to overcome that to continue to where we want to go. So it'll be interesting. There's going to be something that happens for sure, but we'll work through it.
Young Stewie has now turned into like,
wow,
now you're Miyagiing people. Now you're the Miyagi. Student becomes teacher. I love it. This is amazing. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that conversation with Stewie. I loved it. For me, it really left a mark on how much she's been through and how each moment of adversity has really shaped her, whether it's the early days, her freshman year of UConn, the injuries and the playoff losses that she had to deal with in Seattle, and how even now she knows on a team that is going undefeated, adversity is going to come. And obviously my favorite part is knowing that I had even the smallest, tiniest amount of influence in that. She knows winning is hard. She knows it's not guaranteed. But the fact that she's able to take on these moments of adversity, that's what's impressive about Stewie. This episode is a co-production of Together and Vox Media. Our producers are Tommy Alter, Jason Gallagher, Richie Bozek, Harry Krinsky, Jess Clarendon, and Jasmine Ellis.